Zayd al-Shahid, one of the things that he told his people before his uprising, he said, when I was there, na'udhu billah, he cursed Imam Ali. But all of Bani Umayyah, every single Khalifa of Bani Umayyah cursed Imam Ali. Except Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, one of them, who had a very short period of Khilafah. This was their, and even in his time there were Bani Umayyah who were cursing, but he officially did not curse Imam Ali. And then they cursed Fatima al-Zahra, and then they cursed Imam Hassan, and then they cursed Imam Hussein. And he said to Zayd, ماذا صنع أخوك البقرة? What about your brother, the cow? Baqir was the name of his brother, Zayd's brother, Imam Zayn al-Abidin's son. One of them was Zayd, and one of them was al-Baqir. So he says, what about your brother, the Baqarah, the cow? He said, Rasulullah named him al-Baqir. And you name him Baqarah, the cow, because you're so different than Rasulullah, yet you sit on the chair of his Khilafah. He's a brave man. He did not fear Bani Umayyah. And he said to him, leave. He said to Zayd, leave, as he had summoned him. He said to him, leave, and I shall see you some other time. He said, you shall see me in a position where you will dislike. Meaning he threatened him, I'll come back to kill you. And Zayd left and came back to Medina. What I'm trying to say is, when he came back to Kufa, he told them they cursed Fatima, and they cursed Ali, and they cursed Hassan, and they cursed Hussein. And Zayd said, and they cursed Rasulullah. This is in the courts of the Khalifa of Rasulullah. They cursed Rasulullah, and the Khalifa of Rasulullah would laugh. He would be amused. Huh? So the third uprising was the uprising of Zayd, the son of Zayn al-Abidin. His father died when he was 27 years old. Imam Zayn al-Abidin died when Zayd was 27 years old. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin had turned Zayd into a brave warrior, into a alim, into a scholar. He has books on tafsir, he has books on fiqh, he has books on imamah, he has books on the legacy of Amir al-Mu'mineen al-Imam Ali. He came back and he began the slogan, to continue the slogan of Sulaiman ibn Surad al-Khuza'i, Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, became his slogan as well, and he gathered an army. They say about 15,000 people in Kufa, they paid him allegiance. He continued his journey until there were several battles. He led those battles until he was shot with an arrow in his head. In the midst of the battle, he was shot by an arrow in his head. History says that arrow might not have come to him from the enemies. Again, an eminent sign of betrayal. He fell. They brought a physician to him. Listen to the second betrayal. They brought a physician to him. The physician says, if I take out the arrow from your head, you will die. If I keep the arrow in your head, you will survive for several days, but you will eventually die. Zayd said, I cannot bear the pain. Do something about the pain. He was trying to take out the arrow and create remedy. Zayd died out of bleeding. His companions, they took him. There was a pond that was like a river. They stopped the water from the pond coming into the river, and they dug a grave for Zayd and they buried him in the middle of the river, and they put the water back so that Bani Umayyah would not dig the grave of Zayd, the son of Ali ibn al-Husayn. They would not dig the grave of Zayd al-Shahid. The next day, the governor of Kufa began to look for the grave of Zayd. And eventually he found the grave of Zayd. This is Bani Umayyah. This is the legacy of Bani Umayyah. He dug the grave of Zayd. They found it. Who told them? The physician. Allahu Akbar. The physician who went to cure Zayd, he was the one that told them where the grave is. They dug the grave. What did they do with this man who was dead? Who was already dead? They amputated his head. And they sent his head to the so-called Khalifa of Bani Umayyah. But what did they do? He wrote to them, crucify him. They crucified the grandson of Rasulullah. Some historical accounts say 6 months. Some say 2 years. Some say 4 years. Until the birds ate his whole body. He was just bones. Even if it's 6 days. Allahu Akbar. The least says 6 months he was crucified in Kufa, in the city center of Kufa, without a head. They brought him down. There was little remaining of his bones. What did they do with the bones? They crushed his bones. They burned them and turned them into ashes. Allahu Akbar. This is Bani Umayyah. The news reached Imam al-Sadiq, his nephew, through one of the companions who had come from Kufa. As soon as he saw him, he said, قتلوا عمي Zayd. They killed my uncle Zayd. This companion, he said, قتلوه. Yes, they killed him. Imam al-Sadiq began to cry. And then he said, صلبوه. They cut his head. Yes. Then the Imam said, they crucified him as well. As if they knew. The Imams were told of the story of Zayd. He said they crucified him. Then he said, حرقوه. And they also burned him. And the Imam al-Sadiq wept and cried for him. Zayd. As-salamu ala Zayd al-Shahid. Was the greatest and most noble of the avengers of Imam al-Husayn. But we say to the greatest of them all, again, one of the sons of Husayn, أين الطالب بدم المقتول بكربلاء? Where is that avenger of Husayn? Who says to his grandfather every day, لأبكين عليك بدل الدموع دما ولأندبنك صباحا ومساء. I cry for you every day of tears of blood. I cry for you in the morning and I cry for you in the evening. Ya Jaddahu Ya Aba Abdullah.